Let's talk about using social media to network after an event. I just got back from traffic and conversion, digital marketer event, highly recommend. Getting ready to go down to San Diego again next week for a membership, guys, small event. I'll be down there right when social media marketing world is happening, so I'm going to be connecting with some people while I'm down there. And here's the deal, guys. Social media is a fantastic way to follow up, because sometimes after an event, as much as I want to keep talking to someone, I just don't have enough to say to justify hitting their inbox, to take space in their email world. And so a lot of what I'll do is I'll post to them on Twitter or send an invite on LinkedIn, especially if you're in the B2B space. LinkedIn, I know for most of you, it's not your favorite network. It's not my favorite place to spend time either. However, guess what, guys? It's a tool, and it serves a really important purpose when we talk about our suite of tools. So use it, for the love of Pete, okay? Anyways, so I'll use LinkedIn to connect. I'll connect on Twitter. I'll retweet stuff. I will, when I have relevant things to contribute to the conversation, notice I said relevant and contribute there. Those are key. I'll post on their Facebook, post a comment on their Facebook post or things like that. Not only does it help them, because we all know that, engagement is magic on Facebook, but it allows us to be a part of their conversation. It allows us to stay on their radar. I'll also use this between follow-ups. If I've got sort of leads or something going on with a deal I really want, I'll contribute on social and connect with them that way so they can see what's possible, all right? But I want to first talk about this sort of network by network and how I use each of the networks as part of my sort of follow-up series, if you will. Obviously, if I have enough to send an email, I will straight up send an email. I'll say, hey, we talked about such and such. I wanted to send you this resource, or I wanted to share this with you, or whatever it is. As requested, sometimes people will say, hey, can you send me the information about Backstage or working one-on-one or any of those things? Then I'll send an email. But I'll also go, first stop is LinkedIn. I know. But first stop is always LinkedIn. And I will send a connection request. Here is something I want to make sure you get, though. When you're sending a connection request, customize the note. That's right. Use that space to say, hey, it was great meeting you at XYZ event. I really enjoyed our conversation on such and such. I'd love to connect with you here on LinkedIn. Now, that wasn't particularly difficult to create, was it? So don't skip that step, because guess what? For a lot of people, I mean a lot of people, they're just going to say no. If there's not a customized note, they're going to say no. And we don't want that. What we want is them to say, yeah, of course I want to connect with you. You're awesome. So be awesome. Include a short note. It goes all the way to really, or a long way, to enduring them and to showing that you care, showing that you took the time, showing that you had a second, because that's all it really takes, to write a note and say, hey, how's it going? All right. So make sure you're customizing those notes. Once I connect with them on LinkedIn, I'll continue the conversation there if they respond to that message or whatever. I'll also quite often go in and endorse them for things, or comment on posts if they're using the publisher platform, or on their status updates, or share something if it's relevant for my audience. Basically, engage with their content and engage with their profile. Again, it keeps you top of mind. And depending on how long I want that relationship to go on, as far as like, if in the short term I'm trying to close a sale or something, I'll be a little more active. If this is just sort of a great relationship and it's something I want to do, then it just sort of goes into my regular LinkedIn networking time. And as I connect with stuff that they've connected with or they've shared, I'll respond and things like that. However, again, if this is something where I'm trying to close a sale, my attention gets piqued a little more frequently. I'm being honest, guys. I'm being honest. Next up, Twitter. This is a really common one because a lot of times, especially these days at big events, there'll be a hashtag that everyone's sort of tweeting along with or using on Instagram during the event. So I keep track of who I'm connecting with via Twitter, and I will sort of go and pay attention to their stuff afterwards. So going in and retweeting things, going in and responding to questions they ask, engaging with their content. Again, just sort of being a person with them is really impactful. I do the same thing on Instagram. I go in and I don't share things very often because I don't tend to repost things in my Instagram account. But I will comment and just engage with their content, connect with them. If I see something that somebody else posts that is interesting, I'll share it to them through direct message on Instagram. I don't tend to use direct messages on Twitter because I find a lot of people ignore that inbox altogether because of, really spammer auto direct message crap. So I don't tend to direct message. I also don't tend to read my direct messages, just as an FYI. Not the quickest way to get a hold of me. Excuse me. So I tend to publicly reply. If there's something that I want to send to them directly, that's when I'm going to go back to email, or I'm going to go to LinkedIn and send them a message. But I'm going to do something that I know is going to get to them directly, whereas an direct message on Twitter may not. Lastly, let's talk Facebook. Again, I said it earlier, people are really hustling for engagement on their Facebook pages. So if you can go in and again provide relevant, contributing information to something they've posted, do it. Engage, like it, share it, comment on it, whatever it is that works for you and for them, and whatever it is that makes sense in the structure of what they've posted and in the structure of the conversation that's happening, but be a part of it. Again, it's just going to be getting you in front of them and connecting and engaging, and this is how relationships start. This is how friendships are built. You have small conversations, you introduce each other to the other people in your community, you connect. Just because it's not face-to-face anymore, because now you're away from your event, and just because it's not through email, sort of the traditional connection, doesn't mean the same rules don't apply. You have to be able to contribute value. You have to be connecting in a way that feels authentic and real, and you still have to treat people like people, okay? Just because it's the internet does not make that different. And so those are how I sort of on the big four will connect with people. I don't tend to get on the phone with people too often post-event. I'm not really a phone person. It's not my favorite thing to do. I'll set up Skype dates from time to time, especially if it's something where it's now become a sales call or something like that, or we might have a really solid partnership or something like that. But I really tend to keep my follow-up primarily in social, supported by email for direct requests to something. So use these tools to connect. Use these tools to really build relationships, because that's what's ultimately going to long-term impact your business. All right? The other thing I want to comment on, and that's just because this is where I'm at right now, is make sure you're implementing this stuff. I took literally pages of notes in this notebook during this event. So not only as far as follow-up am I connecting with people, but I'm making time in my calendar to take action on these things, take action on the relationships I built in person, take action on the things I learned in person, and actually do something with it. So make sure on your calendar you have, before your next event, you have time on your calendar that when you return from that event or post-event, whether it's a short, afternoon meetup or a 3-day, 4-day conference, whatever it is, you've got time to follow up with people and that you have time to implement what you learn. All right? All right. I will see you next week. FYI, next week's Facebook Live will be on Tuesday instead of Thursday because my Biz BFF is coming to town on Wednesday, and we will be hanging out on Wednesday and Thursday. So we're doing the Facebook Live on Tuesday. So stay tuned. All right? I will see you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.